Thanks everybody for joining us tonight. We have an amazing conversation with Ayanna Khan this evening.
Do you have the care, childcare? Do you have the caregiving responsibilities on lock? And do you have a support system to do that? It just depends on your culture, your norms, your finances. Can you afford it? Can you afford childcare? Right? It's so many things that go into it. So Black women are not putting their education on hold now, right? To have children, and that's okay, because we've always been faced with all these disproportionate challenges and barriers. So we're going after the education and also having the children, right?
Mhm.
Like we're not gonna.
You're not going to give up either one. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You just look at the landscape and, I think it's hard for women altogether to make that decision. And then there's the extra risk, obviously, when you're going to become an entrepreneur. And like you said, if you have, the family support, that's great. But if you have that entrepreneurship, like desire, but you just don't have, the care for your kids or things like that, um, that's just a really tough choice to make.
Right.
I think
Right.
it is. And go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like you said in the beginning, I think it's a personal, right? It's a personal choice. And
Yeah. And for us too, and I'm just talking as a Black woman, right?
yeah,
Let's just say, yeah, you decide, okay, I'm going to put my education or my career on hold and I'm going to have a couple kids and then I'm going to go back. Then you're dealing with setbacks, right?
hmm
I worked in corporate America for over 10 years. You're dealing with those setbacks where you're dealing with loss of income, you're dealing with not getting the career progression and the opportunities and the advancement in corporate America. And
right,
you're dealing with all these things. So you really have to balance, like, it could be a hard choice. For some. And then for us, we're also underpaid, right? There's the wage gap, and there's so many things that you have to consider when you decide, okay, children or my career.
right, right. And can we have it all? Um, I think just as a woman, I love the fact that now we have so many choices. But
Yeah.
one of the things I find is that often, unfortunately, women judge other women for their choices. Like, if I'm a stay-at-home mom or I'm a mom that has, my own business, we kind of look at each other as like, well, you're doing something different than me, sometimes. And the tension sometimes is there between, a stay-at-home mom or a working mom. It's like this whole kind of angst. And the truth is, right, not everybody has that ability.
Yeah, no, not everyone has that luxury, right? Where we can say, okay, I'll be a stay-at-home mom and I'm going to be here for all the pivotal moments in the child's life, their first word, their first step. Some moms, Black moms specifically, have to have two jobs, right? To
Yep.
support their family. So they're probably not even seeing their children until they're already in bed.
Yeah.
Um, we have siblings raising the children
Mhm.
or extended family, and our support systems to do that. We don't have those luxuries sometimes. So in our community, it's different in every community, I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
So economic factors play a lot, historical and systemic factors as well.
Yeah.
It's a lot going on for Black moms in the Black community. We're talking about single parent households and just balancing work life in itself. That's just a broader conversation when we're dealing with, you know, all the things, right? Advancing and the gender roles and the social justice piece. And we're
Right.
usually the ones on the forefront, right? Fighting
Yeah.
for social justice and advocating for our communities and advocating for empowerment. So we got to get our butt in the streets, in the
Yeah.
workplace to enact change. And really, we don't always have that luxury to say, yes, we'll be stay-at-home moms and be here for the children, but it's not a bad thing, right? Because when
Right.
our children see, the impacts, because they can see it, the
Yeah.
work ethic, it also inspires the children. And even with the challenges and the stereotypes, it it's good. It's a good thing in our Black community, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. You mentioned historical disparities. And I know generally speaking that there's obviously disparities between the Black and white community. How do you feel the disparities are as a Black woman compared?
Listen, we have to work twice as hard uh, to not even get as far as our counterparts. Um, we are always questioned, our resumes are scrutinized beyond measure, our education levels, our skill sets, all these things. We have to work twice as hard, be twice as educated to get ahead. And I've experienced that just working in corporate America. So that's historically and systemically, that's been the way, right?
Yeah,
We are paid less, we are overeducated, overqualified, and underpaid for positions that we would run circles around some folks on, right? But just getting
100. Yeah.
yeah, just getting those opportunities, is hard. You have to prove yourself. You have to continuously, prove that you're good enough. And it takes a toll. It takes a toll on us, our mental health, the imposter syndrome effect. It takes a toll on us, right? But this has been the way in this country for Black women. And we've been supporting, even when we look back on being enslaved, right? We're the ones supporting the families,
Mhm.
cooking and being a wet nurse and doing everything else for these families
Right.
and being treated, subpar, like what they say, 3/5 of a human, right?
Right.
So this has been the way systemically, historically in our country.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there's this whole aspect of, generational wealth that has not really existed for the most part in a lot of the Black communities, right? And part of that is, we've got redlining, we've got higher interest rates, you've got other barriers. You even when you start your own business, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. So historically, I think exactly like you said, there's just all these, additional barriers, right? And now where we are now, the 2020s on the bottom and 2024 is on the top.
Hmm.
So take a look at these numbers.
Not surprised. Not surprised.
No. And let's talk about in 2020, Black women were making 69 cents per $1.
Hmm.
Now it's 61 cents. Why do you think that is?
I think there's a lot going on right now um, in our country as a whole. We're moving backwards when it comes to equity and equality for all, especially Black women. We are being scrutinized and penalized more. There's no room for error or anything when it comes to us. And they're tapping into other demographics, I would say, right? And not, realizing the worth of Black women. It's been said that we are the most unprotected demographic, unprotected race. And if you know your history, who
Yeah.
say that, right? And it's true. It still holds true today. Inflation and everything else is happening, and we're definitely moving backwards um, with the affirmative action piece,
I,
and
I was just going to
our
ask you about that, like how you feel or what you think, the DE&I movement right now in certain states. Like I think to myself, in a year, my job could technically be illegal if if we take government funding or something. I mean, we just don't know. Um, do you see that playing it out at all in any of the businesses that you support, or not quite yet, or any stories kind of that you're?
It's definitely trickling down. We see the ban on books on, on Black history, the challenges when it comes to DEI that's been under attack. DEI been around forever, but we now pose a threat, right? That we are now closing the gap, right?
Mhm.
You're now closing in on opportunities that, a group of people, white supremacists and racist people, I'm just going to say that
Yep.
right,
Say
are
it.
feeling threatened. And they don't want that. They don't want us to get even close
Right.
to the finish line, because when we do, they move it again, right? And
Yes.
we overcome again and they move that line again. And this is a continuous vicious cycle, and it's disgusting. I have 2 children and I am just like, what is this country becoming for my children and their children? Right. So we have to continue to fight. We need allies like you, Becca, right? We need white people to fight against these atrocities that are happening to Black and Brown people, because we've been fighting for centuries and they keep moving the finish line. So we need more white people to check white people and say, hey, that's not okay. You know, that's not what we say when we say, okay, liberty and justice for all, equality for all. This is not it.
Right.
But folks are afraid, because we live in a space where I'm concerned about me and I and my family, and I'm worried about myself only, and I'm afraid of getting blackballed and losing my funding and everything else, that they're afraid to speak up. We have to speak up. Our
Hmm.
allies have to speak up
Yeah.
and make the change. Black people alone can't do it.
Yeah. I've said lately that after the murder of George Floyd, and that was everywhere, there were so many white people engaged. And, unfortunately, that has fallen off, right? Unfortunately, and I get that, I don't agree with it. It's my job too, right? So it's like I live and breathe it. But I think it's kind of like you said, for centuries, and that's what I say all the time, when I think sometimes white people, not everyone, but we're used to getting what we want. And so like, okay, we're going to jump on the board and we're going to bring equity, right? And it didn't happen like that, right? Because there is this whole other portion, and mostly older white men that are trying to like hold on for dear life and power and control. Because you're right, there's that fear that, oh my goodness, if we don't have control, what's going to happen? um
Right. Yeah, exactly. And, with the whole social unrest piece in 2020 with the murder of George Floyd and everything else that was happening, it just shows that, we are, um, it was a trend. It was a trend at the time, right? It was the right thing to do, to look like, okay, well, we don't want to look like we're racist, and we want to look like we're diverse, and let's commit these dollars that weren't actually, there's a difference between a commitment and an actual
yes.
allocating of the funds, right?
Yes.
So a lot of that wasn't happening. I've been told by corporations, oh, we're scaling back, right?
Yes.
We already know what that means,
Yes.
when you use that language.
Mhm.
So it was a trend for many, because Black people are the number one consumers in this country, right? We're $1 trillion spenders. So yes, you want to commit your dollars so we can spend more and make you more rich, right? But when it actually comes down to the work, and doing the work, they're not doing it. And that's why, Black folks need to understand, like, we do have power, right, in our spending. And that's why the Delaware Black Chamber is important. We need to keep our dollars in our community. There's Asian restaurants and everything else in our communities. We need to spend with Black businesses and hurt them in the pockets. At the bottom line, America is a corporation. It's all
We
about
are.
capitalism, right? We need to understand that we have that power. Hit them in the pockets.
Yeah.
These will be reversed.
What 100%. I mean, we could just look to the bus, boycott, right? And I know we're in a different world now, and the money's definitely different now. But tell me a little bit about like the Black Chamber of Commerce. Why did you start it? I know it kind of came around the time of COVID. Was it an idea before COVID, or did that ignite it? Um,
So, the Delaware Black Chamber of Commerce wasn't really like this intricate plan, right? For me, I had my own small business consulting LLC, and I was using the chambers to leverage my business. I was, networking and building those connections and those relationships. I sat on the board of a chamber, the first and only Black woman, and my business was doing fine. But there were folks that looked like me. Their business was structured like mine, that wasn't having the same experiences. But I tried to like bring my community together, like get involved with the Chamber of Commerce and, just try it, right? But the pandemic hit. And in my opinion, my humble opinion, um, there really wasn't any urgency to stop the bleeding for these businesses that were struggling. And I'm in the Middletown area, and we had non-minority businesses in our community that had to close, and businesses that I love, like the cake shop, right? They had
Mhm.
the best cakes, and it was a multi-generational business that had to permanently close their doors because they're shut in. Who's buying cakes? Who's coming to the bakery, right?
Right.
And, just for me, trying to provide solutions and trying to make a difference, and you feel like you're just banging your head against the wall and you're unheard. I had to become the change I wanted to see, like Gandhi said, just be the change.
Right.
So that's what I did. Did some research, found the National Black Chamber of Commerce. They have hundreds of chapters throughout the country. Delaware's never had a chapter. And they supported me, partnered me with the New Jersey chapter, the Illinois chapter. And they were super supportive. And we launched in the height of the pandemic, and right off
Yeah.
the bat, like literally within like a couple of months, we had over 127 members. We helped with the Delaware Relief Grant, got over 2 million back into the businesses that needed the funding, that were not getting the funding prior. Again, for systemic
Yeah,
reasons.
exactly. It's not in their space. No one bothers to tell people about it. And that's intentional, but like everybody is in a business together and like, oh yeah, get the ARPA funds, get this, get this. But meanwhile, people are busy trying to survive.
Right.
Um, and that's so you started in 2020?
Correct.
Yes. And you had 157 the first year. Where are we now?
We're at 702 members as of today, which is representing over 1,500 individuals, right? Within these businesses, that are of a diverse community. I want to be clear on that.
Yes.
So not all our members are Black. 1/3 of our membership is white. We do collect the demographic information for race, ethnicity, gender, veteran status, LGBTQIA status. We collect all of the data. So we are, I will dare to say, the most diverse chamber in the state of Delaware.
Don't say dare to say. That's awesome to be. I mean,
Wait,
the
listen.
ideal is that that's just the way it is, right? That's the ideal world, but it's not. So, yeah, I was looking at some of your pictures and things like that, and I'm like, you do all kinds of businesses. So you do from like small startups, like walk me through, like, do people come to you with an idea about a business? Yes. So
Yes.
sometimes that happens.
Yeah. So literally, if you're in ideation stage, you're thinking, okay, I want to start a business. And we want more folks to come in that phase so we can really stop some of the tragedy and loss when it comes to businesses, because everyone has a passion and a hobby, but it's a difference when you're running a business. It's totally different. So we help students. You have an idea, join us and partner with experienced entrepreneurs. You have a home-based business and you want to eventually scale to have a brick and mortar and grow. We have the small businesses, the folks that have the brick and mortar. Then we have the medium and large corporations. So it's for everyone. We have the retired folks. Hey, you don't have a business, but you have a skill set and expertise. Come help these businesses, educate,
Yeah.
right? Share resources, share information. It's just too much gatekeeping
Yes.
happening in the state of Delaware. So many backdoor deals, right? It's a good old boys club. It's all about who you know, right? I know it was a big thing when they were like, well, who is she? She didn't even go to school here. Like, doesn't matter where I went to school.
What
We
about
have a
where'd you go to high school, right?
high school at that. And I'm just like, you know what? Stop the madness, right? So we embrace everyone. Um and our folks will tell you, just not me saying it, our folks will tell you, you come into the chamber, there's an opportunity for everyone to get engaged, get involved. If you're not engaged and you're not involved, that's on you. But there's something for everyone. Education and resources is our platform to educate and provide resources and create opportunities, right? So we're here looking at making real systemic change, breaking down barriers, highlighting the disparities and coming with solutions, not just complaining, right? We don't do that here. We come with the solutions. And we've been able to make a huge impact in such a short time. Um, but it hasn't been easy, right? It hasn't been easy, but we need more folks that are open-minded and are willing to work together and forget about all the other isms, right?
Right.
Racism, genderism, the misogyny is at an all-time high. It's just
Yeah.
out of
Yeah.
control. So
Yes.
we can go so much further for a small state just coming together, and we just want more people to understand and realize that.
Do you have all up and down the county? Or up
Yes,
and down the state, sorry, all three counties?
we are a state chamber. Yes, we are. And we just bought on a new individual that will be starting in June to focus specifically on Sussex and Kent County. We have 109 businesses located down in Lower Delaware, but we want to do more. We're down here once a quarter. We definitely want to do more. They're asking for more and have more programming as well. So yes, we're proud to say we're a state chamber. We're doing a lot with little, which just goes back to Black culture, right?
Yeah,
Make a
yeah,
way out of no way. And that's really what we do.
yeah. That's awesome. So just generally speaking, like you had mentioned youth, like what is the youngest person you've ever had come in and kind of either pitch you an idea or they're doing something, they need support? You had any youngins?
Yes, high schoolers, juniors and seniors in high school, speaking to the BSUs at the high schools and having them volunteer with us.
Oh,
We had a young lady that actually had a business that was actually revenue generating for her skincare line.
nice.
So we love that, and we offered her a courtesy membership so she can get the support and mentorship that she needed to scale that business and possibly bring it into Nordstrom's or whatever, get
Yeah,
to that level. Um, so the youngest had been high
yeah.
school.
That's cool though, because I think sometimes before you're kind of beaten down by the world in high
Yeah.
school, you still have all of this hope, and so it's probably a good time to start a business.
Yeah, the
If
young
you
people, they're motivated, energetic. I always encourage the young people, take that hobby, take that passion, and try to generate a business with it. You just never know. And with the way things are set up now with inflation, you definitely need multiple streams of income, right? That's been a
Yeah,
trendy thing to say, but it's actually reality.
it's true.
You
It's
need
true.
multiple
And I
streams.
mean, just to survive, it's not even like I'm going to go on a vacation.
Right.
It's like, oh, I mean, maybe it's like, yeah, I want to get gifts for people or whatever, but it's not, I mean, people are just trying to survive. Um, how, how is the tech industry with the commerce? Like, do you have a lot of tech or is that kind of,
We have a few tech businesses. We've partnered with the Tech Council of Delaware, which was a council created by the governor, and we have partnered with them last year. We did a tech conference, and Delaware is a tech hub, but we usually see the same usual businesses. And there's so many innovative tech companies, diverse tech companies here that we partnered with them to highlight these businesses and really help them take their business to the next level, which includes getting in front of venture capitalists and getting the funding that they need. So we're happy to partner with them. We have a tech conference coming up in June, and we're bringing, the who's who to them, meeting them where
Mhm.
they're to get the information that they need, make sure that they're prepared to pitch and things like that. So we definitely have businesses in the tech field and literally across all industries and sectors, they're members of the chamber.
Yeah. From making, I guess, their own products to, running a tech company. So that's great.
Yeah.
I had my own business for 12 years. I was a sole proprietor. I had my own dog walking pet sitting business. Um, and I made really good money. Um, I love my job, but I made more than I do now. And it was very lucrative. Now there's a million of them, but when I started, there wasn't. But there was also, honestly, I know that there was a benefit to me being white and having that job, right? Because you're going into people's homes and it's just, a bias, it's racism, it's just embedded. And, I didn't think about that until later in my career. And then I thought to myself, wow, I can imagine this business would be harder for a woman of color. Like, because people are just different. They just don't understand. I don't know. I do,
Yeah,
but
that's a fact, Becca. We all have our own biases, everyone. It's just a human makeup, right? But we have to like think consciously and intentionally, like, am I being biased? Like, how can I change my perspective? Because, Black folks tend to be like, oh, they're untrustworthy and they're this and they're that.
right.
But
There,
it's a
yeah,
mindset shift.
yeah.
It really is. And it takes time and it takes practice.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I always say that when it comes to racism, there's twofold. There's and then there is policy and procedures and systems. Like those things need to be broken down.
Yeah.
Um, I'm going to ask you. Oh, at the end, you can tell us everything that we can do to support you. So don't let me forget about that. Okay, I think we talked about the chamber. Growth is doing good. Um, and we talked about this a little bit beforehand, but I would love to talk about, as a progressive person, a progressive organization that, eliminating racism and empowering women, at the intersection, we fight for things like the increase in minimum wage, right? Or additional health care, just generally because women are often the providers and they're the ones lacking in this space, right? And so do you find that to be kind of a challenge to be in the Delaware small business space, and then also understanding the need for those things, but also understanding what's going to happen to the businesses.
Yeah. So the Delaware Black Chamber, um, we're a little different, right? So we advocate for the needs of our members who are predominantly Black. Um, However, our priorities may be a little different. So we're dealing with micro businesses where they don't have the means to pay the increase in minimum wage, but we still understand it's twofold, right? We need to provide um, a livable wage for individuals, especially when Delaware is already behind the minimum wage curve, paying less than other states throughout the country. We've yet to get to that, $15 an hour. So like traditionally chambers, they take a stance on policies like
Mm-hmm.
minimum wage, but we look at it twofold. So we just listen and advocate for the interest of our members, which are predominantly those micro businesses, mom and pop,
Mm-hmm.
individual, who would love to have and pay more
Right.
to have, employees and help, but they just can't. But we know we need to uplift low income workers. We know we need to stimulate the economy and provide that
Right.
increase, but
Right.
it's not always the case for everyone.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think about agriculture, um, and investment that the federal government makes into agriculture, whether people are growing or not growing. They're paying farmers like, okay, grow all this stuff, or they're saying, we're don't grow any, we're still going to pay you, right? So like that's a field, and then you've got people with small businesses that really are struggling because they want to pay people $15 an hour, they want to give sick and safety leave, but it's literally not in the budget. So like, as a community, those are things, if we can start offering, healthcare for like things that are not, that don't put undue burdens on
Right.
smaller companies. Because
Absolutely.
yeah, do you find that is healthcare kind of a concern for people when they think about having their own business?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. We speaking of healthcare, we are hosting our inaugural Minority Health Summit at the Chase Center tomorrow from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. in partnership with the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Business owners are either uninsured or underinsured. A lot of them are. It's like, okay, do I pay for healthcare that's so expensive, or do I put that money into the business for something else, for my infrastructure or whatever the case may be? So that's happening, right? So it's definitely disparities when it comes to healthcare, and we want to address that. Tomorrow we have an amazing panelist of doctors and folks in the wellness area that will provide opportunities, talk about opportunities. We have on-site health screenings because these folks,
that's
again, are not going to the doctor. They can't afford it,
right,
right? So
right.
we'll have Christiana Care and our local Department of Health and Human Services and others doing on-site
Mhm.
health screenings for participants. We have 215 individuals registered as of now,
Wow,
and we're just excited to
that's
really
awesome.
highlight what's going on in healthcare, especially for small business owners, and then they can take away a resource guide of resources that's available to them and their family and their businesses.
Nice. So I want to get a little bit to the accolades for you, Ayanna. I think the most recent and big one was it 2023? You were the National Chamber of Commerce's #1 Chamber of Commerce, right?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Let's give her an applaud. How did that feel?
That was like really surreal for me because we started the chamber, right? Just to really stop the bleeding for businesses, being the change and just head down, sleeves rolled up in the trenches with our community to provide the resources and the tools that they needed. And just not really looking at, I don't sit here and like, okay, let me look through all the things that we've done. We just know there's things to be done. There's things to be tackled, and um other people are watching, right?
Mhm.
So they were looking and seeing all the movement and the impact we were making in such a short time, and I'm like, are you sure? We've only been around for 3 years. There are so many other chambers throughout the country that's been around for decades and half a century even. And they're like, yeah, you've done the work.
Yeah,
We've been here representing the entrepreneurship, small business, Black business community, and representing the underserved. And I just really had to sit back and take that all in. It was very emotional as well.
I was gonna say like that's. I mean, you don't ever do anything in life. Most things, I shouldn't say that. Many things with careers, you're just working, right? You're trying to do good, you're trying to get through, and then something like that happens. And like you said, you were only 3 years in at that point, right?
Yeah, so we got that award in Atlanta at the National Black Business Conference. There are over 1,000 people in the room. Ben Crump is the keynote speaker,
Oh,
and they called us up for this award. And I literally had to say, thank you to my tribe. Good night, because it was like water words. I'm like, oh my gosh.
oh.
It was unbelievable. And just the love and the energy in the room, and everyone just being so supportive and so collaborative, and it was just warm. And It's just like, wow, we really did that, right? Um,
Yes, 700 businesses. I mean, that's like, it's a more than double, triple. Like, I'm just trying to think from your first year. Yeah,
yeah.
that's a lot. So, and I think you're only going to get bigger and better. I'm glad that you prefaced, it's not just, you know, Black businesses, but what's great about it is you mentioned the diversity, right? So you've got diversity. So tell me about one of the coolest or like most heartwarming story of one of your clients, one of the chamber's clients.
Oh my gosh, we have so many. We have so many. We have there's just one business specifically that joined our flagship program in Rich, Delaware. And she was in the midst of getting her PhD. And she was also a business that got launched in a pandemic, really addressing suicide and mental health in our youth in our community. And I had no idea how disparaging the numbers were, right here at home, right here in our community. And she decided to tackle that, just having her own mental health issues in the past. She's from Louisiana, dealing with Hurricane Katrina,
Oh,
navigating, her mental health with that. And she launched this organization, and we were there in um last year. Now she has this building. She has all these offices. She
oh
has like
wow.
20 people on staff. She has all these therapists that are working for her. Now she's statewide, and she's tapping now to the homelessness and as
Uh,
well as the domestic violence piece. And I'm just like, wow, you
yeah.
have grown tremendously. Um, and but she did attest that, going through the program and building that strategic growth plan and following that and just building her business and just doing good in her community, addressing, the mental health and the suicide rates for our children. It's just, it's amazing. It just blows me away. And I'm super proud of her, but there's so many. I'm just so proud.
I
So
know you can't just pick one of your babies, but I was just like, I'm just gonna, but that's great. Next week, by the way, we're talking about gun violence. And you know, I got I've got Mrs. Mom's demand on here, Tracy. But like guns are the number one killers, like suicides for youth. So I mean, it's just there's people don't realize how serious it is.
yes, that education is so important. And that SB to the permit to
Permit
purchase. And
permit to
yeah,
purchase.
we've come a long way. We've come a long way, and we're moving the needle. And I was excited to see that. I support guns. I've been licensed to carry for 7 years, but we have to do a better job at protecting our children. Like, my God, it's unreal. So I love the work that they're doing. Hopefully we can partner as well, because gun violence also affects the small business community. It's
Oh,
all
100.
holistic, right?
Yes.
So love what they're doing, and I'm gonna try to tune in for that segment.
It. So don't fret there. Does anybody on the call have any questions for Ayanna? I have some more, but I would feel free to come off and have a chat. Or if you want to share one of your own personal experiences in this space, please do. It's okay if you don't.
I have a question. How do you, uh, well, I have the funds to start a business, but I've been having problems finding the spot to leave.
Kimberly, I
Everywhere I
don't
go,
know. Kimberly, I don't know. Can you hear her, Ayanna?
She's not
oh,
very clear.
okay.
Go ahead. See.
Uh, I'm sorry, that's because I'm at the gym. Let me turn the earphones off.
Oh, you're at the
On the
gym.
Bluetooth.
Repeat your
I'm
question. I'm
saying
sorry.
that I have the funds to start a business, but I have not found anywhere, like everywhere I go, maybe over 20 places, they all say no. They won't lease to me.
Yes, that is a thing. That is a thing. We get a lot of those calls, right? So we
Let
plan
me
to
turn
address.
this off. This is kind of loud here. I'm gonna mute it.
Okay. Yeah, we get a lot of those calls where, just getting in a lease is hard, or getting in a lease and it's a predatory lease agreement, or a lease where you can't have signage and run your business the way you need to run it. So we plan to address that by creating an incubator space. Fingers crossed, that the Delaware Black Chamber of Commerce can secure the space that we're looking at to incubate businesses to come and, have a safe space and place to grow their business. So stay tuned for that. Because that is an issue here in our community too. So I'm sorry that you're going through that, but I don't know what kind of business it is. Maybe you can just do the e-commerce part. Is it retail? What kind of business is it? Or can you partner with another? Huh?
In healthcare, CPR and CNA training.
Oh, perfect.
Well, I'm
Love
already
that.
doing this CPR training. I just rent the fire hall on certain days, but for me to have a permanent place, I can't find any place to lease.
Wow, that's unfortunate. But continue to partner with other existing organizations where you can run your program out of there. And I think eventually you're going to get a space. Just continue at it. Don't get discouraged. I know that is definitely a hot topic in our community. Just, getting a space to lease.
Yeah. Right away, I'm always going to problem solving. I'm like, wait a minute, who has a yoga studio that obviously is not being used all the time, right? And then I'm thinking about Black Mothers in Power and the building they just got. I'm like, they've got a room. So it's just funny how that's what I think networking does a lot, right? Is like you don't actually need what someone has, but you talk to someone who needs what they,
Yes.
and so you just people, and that's what it sounds like your chamber is all about. It's about like, hey, this person is working on that. This is a great mentor for you. Um, Tracy.
Hi. I'm wondering if you could talk to Black women's problems and issues with getting loans
We
to
were
start
getting there. Thank you.
businesses. And a lot of times they're given a rate that's 1.5 times more than a white man. And if there are any Black-owned businesses or banks in Delaware that help Black entrepreneurs specifically, with giving them equitable rates of interest, and that it's not so hard to get in loans.
Listen,
Thanks,
Tracy,
Tracy.
this has been a topic since the beginning of time, right? So when we talk about access to capital, this is what we're talking about. It is a big disparity in our community when it's unequal access to capital for minorities, specifically Black and Hispanic business owners. We have partnered with Del One Federal Credit Union, and they're the largest credit union in the state. We have partnered with them at the top of the year to offer a minority loan program designated just for DEBCC members, where they can have access to capital. They can get those loans at not a predatory loan, not those crazy rates. And by having a business plan and just being vetted by the chamber and by Del One, because there's a big challenge when it comes to securing finances compared to our white counterparts. This has been a thing. I'm working currently now with Representative Bush to have a designated loan program for underserved businesses, right? So we run those risks of it being for minorities only, but we're addressing the underserved, underrepresented communities. So we're looking at policy change, right, with this bill, which is what we need. We need change in policy because the lack of access to capital is hindering the growth and sustainability of Black and brown businesses, period. Just last year alone on Lower Market Street, four Black businesses had to permanently close their doors for financial reasons, when they claim that there's economic development offices and minority funds and all these other things, but they're not going to the businesses that need it. So hopefully with this new legislation that's coming down the pike, we can really address this disparity when it comes to access to capital. So those are the two areas where the chamber is moving the needle when it comes to securing financing for Black and brown businesses.
And do you know the bill number?
Not yet. It's drafted. We just had to dissect it and change some verbiage.
So you're in the process of creating it then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So Representative Billy Bush, he'll have his attorneys like make the tweaks. So keep on the outlook for that. We need as many people to support
I was
that.
going to say, yeah, let us know, because 100% behind that, and we'll do anything we can to support that advocacy. That's really good. It's really good change, because one of the things during our readings this week was, right to Tracy's point, was the largest entrepreneur demographic is Black women, which is interesting because you also said that, and it's the largest demographic going for college degrees and right now. Yeah. And both those things cost money, right?
Right.
So when Black women get those, it's like they've had to go over an additional barrier. So it's like, twice as hard. And I'm so glad that you have some programs going. And Del One has been they've been a really good bank. They opened their Route 9 was a banking desert, and they opened up a bank there. And that's just great, because if there's not a bank to serve a population, you're going to go to the liquor store, right, and cash your check, and you're going to go and do all that stuff, and then you're going to spend your money because you have it. I spend my money if it's in my pocket.
Right.
It's almost like cash doesn't count now compared to a card. It's like, well, I have cash, so I'm not really spending it.
You're right. Exactly. I cannot hold on to cash. It just goes right out my pocketbook. But
Yes.
yeah, we need to collectively address these disparities, and it really does take policy change. It takes the government agencies, right? We have a healthy budget in the state of Delaware. Why can we not invest back into small businesses? We invest so much into bringing in the big guys to Delaware, right? We need to invest into the small businesses as well. So that's why we're tackling this. And working with financial institutions and other stakeholders. Delaware does have Stepping Stones Credit Union, which is Black owned.
Oh, wow.
I believe the only one in the state as well.
Yeah. Are they new?
No, not really. They've been around for a few years, and they're one of our members as well. And it's ran by a Black woman, Blanche. And they are supported by, I believe, Discover Bank or Discover Card. But yeah,
Not anymore. Discover's getting sold.
Right. So Capital One, possibly.
Yes.
But that we're working continuously with policymakers, lawmakers, to increase access to capital and resources, because we just have to.
Yeah, I will say one other thing. I have a whole list, and Tracy knows this, but one of the things when white people say, "What can we do? What can we do?" I tell people, support Black businesses. I will forever try to get a Black business if I can. Just because I feel like, where the money's always gone, where the money's been taken from, right? So like, if you have disposable income, spend it in Black businesses if you can. I mean, I want an app. Here, you can do this for me. Can you do it for me? I would like an app that I can put in the kind of restaurant I want and where I am, and I want to know the 3 Black businesses within a block.
Yeah, I love that. I think Yelp and Google now has a feature where you can put in Black owned businesses and it will populate for you. Yeah, so they're more
but you have to be on Yelp. You have to be one of the businesses on Yelp. And a lot of time, the smaller the businesses are, they're not necessarily on there.
Right, right. But I saw that them and Google have implemented, a search for Black-owned businesses. Or you could call the chamber up and say you're looking.
I was going to say, you have all the information. You could put it in a Delaware app. and charge people for it. Because that's the funny thing is we were throwing around like, would you pay? I'd pay a couple bucks a month just to have this and be able to like, because the thing is you're somewhere and you're like, I need to get whatever you're running for. And it's like, I don't know where maybe a Black owned business is.
If we could get the funding, we'll definitely do that because we do also have a recruitment spreadsheet of another 400 that we've identified. And then the new stats just came out from One Stop where you can renew and apply for your business license. There are over 5,000 Black businesses here in the state of Delaware alone, the ones who have chose to identify themselves, right? So that's another thing. Just continuing to educate people that, yeah, please identify your demographic so we know what targeted resources that we need, because there's strength in numbers when we say, okay, we have X amount, we have the data to prove what resources we need for a specific demographic.
Awesome. What can, and by the way, everyone, we're going to end a little bit early tonight because our esteemed panelist has lots to do and it's beautiful out. So go outside and have a cup of tea. What can we do to support you? What can the community do? What can businesses do that are maybe, I guess they can join? Doesn't matter, right?
First and foremost, join the chamber. We are all inclusive, so it doesn't matter your race.
You do nonprofits too, right?
Yep, we actually do. So join us at www.debcc.org. There is opportunity for everyone, regardless of what stage or level of business that you're in. We do over 100 events a year, so attend one of our events. We're a little different from our counterparts. We do not charge our members to attend events. They are free to members, except for our gala, our only fundraiser of the year, where you get to dress a black tie and come out and raise funds for a great cause.
You just had that, right? Was it recently?
In September. So
so we're halfway there. Okay.
Yep. And we have an amazing Black woman keynote speaker this year. Wait for that announcement. And so join us, come to an event, come, feel the vibes at the event. It's always a good time. It's always great networking. And we do educational webinars as well. So, and we're still Zooming, right? So we do both in person and virtual events. So there's something for everyone. If you guys are free tomorrow, come to the Chase Center. It is free. We'll be there for our inaugural Minority Health Summit. We have 46 vendors available and 250 participants that are registered. So it's going to be a great time.
Yeah. And I'm on coming Thursday and Friday for
the Equity
other summit. So
yes, so we'll be there for that too.
Yes. All right. Well, I'm going to throw it out there. Any more questions? I'm sorry, Tracy, if you had a follow-up, I apologize. Nope, you're good. Okay, awesome. Awesome. So you also mentioned volunteering. Like, what does that look like for the Delaware Black Chamber of Commerce?
Oh my gosh. So we are a super small staff. It's like literally 4 of us. And I am the only full-time, right? So we are always in need of volunteers. If you want to come out to an event, help set up, break down, to help network, to help work an event, to help another business, there's lots of opportunity. So if you're looking to volunteer, like we have about 16 volunteers signed up for tomorrow's health summit, and we're excited about that. So there's always something to do. We will keep you busy.
So people can check your social media because usually you have that stuff in there. And then do you also have an email list?
Yes.
Or is that only for members?
No, we have a monthly newsletter that goes out to the community. You can sign up. You can say, hey, add me to that list. But our e-blast, which is internal, that goes out to member businesses only, and that's bi-weekly. But the monthly newsletter, anyone can get that.
Awesome.
Yeah, so we are accessible. We're right here in the community. Email us, call us, drop us a DM, whatever.
Yes. Well, thank you for all of your hard work, and like I said in the beginning, you're like a whirlwind. And people call me that, but I just watch you, you're everywhere. I was like, wait, wasn't she just here like on the same shirt? You're just always working so hard and just doing great things for the community. I mean, I'm just in awe of you. Even though you're not an original Delawarean, I will call you one.
Thank you, Becca. Thank you for your support. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for being an ally. It means a lot. Thank you for recognizing the work. It's a lot, right? So
It's a
thank
lot,
you.
but you got to point it out, you got to talk about it, and you got to come up with solutions, like you said earlier. That's like, people always want to complain, but it's like,
Yeah.
so what are the solutions? Again, thanks. I'm sure I will see you out and about, and look forward to supporting opportunities that I can. I might volunteer at the gala.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Please do. Please do.
So, all right, well, I will see you soon, and thank you guys for joining us tonight. If anybody has, wait, Kimberly actually put her information in the chat. Oh, she put, yeah, I guess, Kimberly, I would tell you to reach out to the chamber, you know, and see if they can hook you up with someone or something like that. I'm sure that they have something that can kind of lead you in the right direction. So
Yes, and I can't believe 2,000 a month, honey. Yes, someone should take, but we can help you.
I know that's a lot of money.
Mhm.
So, all right, good night, everyone. Go
Good
enjoy the weather.
night.
Bye.